That. I mean, there are 6 men, some of them with their photographs that have been redacted, and there's no explanation why those people were redacted. And Thomas discovered it through his MIT logic with some of the searches. But, that's really concerning. I think there are 2 other points. One is some of the internet concern about some of the more sensational emails. I mean, I do think it's important to recognize that some of the senders.
Yeah, how it connected to Pizzagate, how they're now talking about grape soda. They also talking about jerky, which people are trying to say, now they're eating humans and all this crazy stuff. Child sacrifices. I mean, it got crazy. Sending of torture videos. Like, let's be real. When we was reading those emails out loud, or even when I was reading to myself, it got a bit disturbing.
On that are women, and so some of the redactions may be appropriate, some may not be appropriate. We need to look at that. But just because there's an email out there, it doesn't mean that there's necessarily an improper redaction. The bigger concern is these 6 individuals. I will say that the staff was very professional in allowing us to do the searches. Our bigger concern is that there's still a lot that's redacted. Even in what we're seeing redacted versions. I thought we were supposed to see the unredacted versions, and that's because the documents produced to justice from the FBI, from the grand jury, was redacted when they got it. So we kept doing the searches for the unredacted information. It's the identical redactions that they have. Now, I don't think that's nefarious on the career attorneys that were reviewing it, but they obviously haven't gotten the production because our law says that the FBI and the original grand jury needs to be unredacted.
Right. The U.S. attorneys and the FBI.
And right now, well, we've only figured out 2 of the unredacted guys' name, which one is Lex Wexner, which I've been yelling at from the mountaintops for a while now. Like, somebody needs to check into this guy, Lex Wexner. He has a lot of pull in Victoria's Secret and all this good stuff, and Bath and Body Works. So he was one of the main reasons why Epstein was able to get access to, these model type women or even younger women. And I believe he also trafficked some of them through Wexner. And the wild thing about Wexner is he has heavy influence in my city. Yeah, but in Columbus, Ohio, and Ohio State, he has his name on a building. I mean, he stays out there in New Albany. I mean, he basically owns the city.
Are compelled as well as the DOJ, and the DOJ was responsible for this document production, and they just produced documents that have been given to them from the FBI, the 302 forms, for instance, which need to be unredacted. There was one other thing that definitely needs to be addressed. Some of these files have been taken down, like the DOJ produced them, and for some reason they took them down. Maybe they decided that victims' names were in there and that they needed further redactions. But those documents not only haven't been put back up on the site with the appropriate redactions, they were not available to us to search. As far as I could tell, we couldn't search the documents that had been taken off the internet.
Can you share with us the name of the 6 men that you identified?
I probably should do that from the floor or in a committee hearing.
And look, they should be releasing these documents. We have many avenues where we can compel that legally. Maybe they've done it out of oversight. I don't know. I don't believe that. But, they should be releasing those documents. And our hope is to get them to do that. And then in some of the redactions, they need to be very careful on whether that was a survivor or not. Just because, for example, someone is female doesn't necessarily mean they're survivors. And it seemed like they blanket redacted anyone who was a female from my review.
Yeah, I would like.
Yeah, and that's the truth, because here's a problem. I mean, there are females who, work for Epstein. It wasn't just Ghislaine Maxwell on her own. There was also women who helped Epstein recruit women and bring them in. I would say groom them as well. I mean, there was women involved in this child sex trafficking ring as well. And they need to be called out and not being protected because they're women.
Give the DOJ a chance to say they made a mistake and over-redacted, and let them unredact those men's names. That would probably be the best way to do it.
So how much of the redactions, you said that there are a lot of, the documents, some of what you saw in there had redactions. How much of what, how much new information then did you see that was unredacted, or did it look pretty similar to what we've seen publicly?
I mean, what we're after is the men who Jeffrey Epstein trafficked women to. We want those names published. We're not out to embarrass people. And the problem is, we went in there hoping to see that in 302 forms. What we found out is those 302 forms were redacted before they got to the DOJ. So, but our legislation directs the FBI, which is the agency that produced those 302 forms, to also produce these documents. The Attorney General is ultimately responsible for that production. So that's why we're here at the DOJ to view these files. But there needs to be more information given in those 302s. So I was disappointed we didn't find that. But it's also clear, just sort of as a checking their homework, that they need to do a little more homework. There are 6 men. We went in there for 2 hours. There's millions of files, right? And in a couple of hours, we found 6 men whose names have been redacted, who are implicated in the way that the files are presented.
Congressman, call to activism. My question is, what's your message to Pam Bondi after what you saw today?
Need to do a little more.
So yeah, they revealed like 2 names so far. Yeah, like I said, one Lex Wexner, the one that gifted Epstein a mansion, basically, and also who believed to be one of his financiers, and also a sultan in Saudi Arabia. So yeah, a sultan in Saudi Arabia.
Work, and I would like. I mean, we'll see her at the Judiciary Committee here in a couple days.
So to the Muslim homies, hey, look, bro. There's Christians and Muslims and Jews in the Epstein files, okay? All of y'all are in there.
At the very least, these 6 men, maybe she can make public. I mean, we're happy to provide the information to them, and they should do that. Look, there's some of the effort, because there were a lot of career attorneys on there. There's some redactions that were appropriate, some, for protect the survivors. And some of the most sensational things out on the internet, there may have been appropriate redaction. So, you know, for Thomas and me, it's always been about the facts. And our biggest concern is what was redacted before it even came to the Justice Department. I mean, the reality is that the most important things, the 302 files and some of the...
oh, God, do me a favor and double tap that screen and like the video, guys. Let's get more people on the conversation by double tapping that screen.
Information on the prosecution memos, it's unclear that those redactions happened here. We saw a lot of files that already were redacted. And then, of course, they have been protecting some of these men. Maybe it was not intentionally, but the law is very clear. They need to comply with the law.
And finally, the documents that they put up and decided for one reason or another they had to take back down, I was hoping to see those here. They didn't appear to be in the database that we were able to search. For those ostensibly are wholly redacted files now. We know they exist. They published them for a brief period of time and pulled them back. They need to answer to us as to do they intend to redact those files and put them back up and put them in the database so that we can search them and see if it was appropriate to take them back down from the website.
Are these men,
yeah,
US citizens?
because it makes them look real suspicious. It makes them seem like, oh, well, y'all knew that Congress was going to come in and investigate this. So you were like, all right, well, we'll release some, we'll release all of it, but then we'll take some back before the congressmen come in and be able to review the unredacted version. So, I mean, yeah, like, why'd you take those out? And you got to let them review the unredacted version because it looks pretty sus. It looks pretty sus. Looks like you're trying to hide something again.
What fields do they work in? Is it finance? Is it political?
At least one is a U.S. citizen. At least one is a foreigner. And the other 3 or 4 have names. I'm not sure if they're foreign or U.S.
And which field do they work in? Is it finance, banking, political?
Finance.
One is pretty high up in the foreign government.
And some are... they're one.
Yeah, like I said, there was a sultan of Saudi Arabia in Saudi Arabia. So he's up there in the Saudi Arabian monarchy, and that's going to be a hard guy to get. I mean, I don't know. You never know. Saudi Arabia might handle that for us. But Lex Wexner, well, we can always grab him. But, I mean, the man's a billionaire, and he has a lot of influence in the financial world. That doesn't mean he's untouchable. It just means that, hey, the man's going to have lawyers for days.
of the others as a pretty prominent individual. But I think that the point is that these 6 are just what we found in 2 hours of a review of the files that aren't redacted. The broader issue is why so many of the files they're getting are redacted in the first place. And until that becomes unredacted, the main things that they're sending to the career attorneys to review, I don't think we're going to have full compliance with the law, get to the question that most Americans want to know. Who were the rich and powerful people who went to this island? Did they rape underage girls? Did they know that underage girls were being paraded around? And after seeing this, I don't blame the U.S. attorneys, the assistant U.S. attorneys reviewing it. If they're reviewing redacted material, what are they supposed to do? But they're getting, it seems like, material that's already been redacted.
Congressman Raskin also viewed these materials earlier, and he said that he saw President Trump's name redacted. He saw Lee Wexner's name redacted. Did you see President Trump's name redacted, Lee Wexner's name redacted? Can you share anything about that?
I didn't put Donald Trump in the search engine, so I couldn't tell you.
Why not?
No. I mean, I'm surprised. As hard as honestly, as hard as Donald Trump goes against Massie, I'm surprised.
I did, and that was a woman that wrote that, and so it may be proper to redact it, and it may not be. I don't know. It seems like part of their algorithm for redaction was just to redact every woman in there, pretty much.
Yeah.
So we can't parse if the person who sent that was a victim or not.
Well, none of this is designed to be a witch hunt. Just because someone may be in the files doesn't mean that they're guilty. But there are very powerful people who raped these underage girls. It wasn't just Epstein and Maxwell, or showed up to the island, or showed up to the ranch, or showed up to the home knowing underage girls were being paraded around, and some of the sickening stuff in there about the violence. And what we want to do is have the investigation to get to those people to answer those questions. Not to say that every internet rumor about some email is going to be true. And like I said, in some of the cases, the redactions may have been appropriate. But for Thomas and me, it's never been about getting Donald Trump or getting Bill Clinton or scoring political points or trying to destroy people's reputations. It's about actually getting justice for these survivors.
Do either of you plan to read the 6 names on the House floor?
That's all I care about.
I think we need to give the DOJ a chance to go back through and correct their mistakes.
Yeah, and trust me, the DOJ is gonna have a lot. They have a lot of explaining to do. And Pam Bondi on Wednesday. Oh man, I mean, bro, the oversight committee is going to they're gonna crucify this young lady. I mean, bro, they're really gonna burn her at the stake. When she goes in there, I hope she really thought about her answers, because she got a lot to answer for.
How long do they have?
They're already breaking the law. Look, they're way past the deadline. And the reason they gave for taking so much time is so they wouldn't release victims' information. But in fact, they've released all kinds of victims' information.
Yeah.
So the problem here is not the deadline. The problem is they need to go back. They need to themselves check their own homework or have somebody else check it. And as Rose said, they need to go to the U.S. attorneys and the FBI, who are compelled by the legislation directly to produce that material to them unredacted.
Yeah, because I mean, let's be real. When you read the Epstein files, you're like, why are you guys redacting the names of people he's like pretty much talking about trafficking children with? Like, why are you redacting those names? Why are you redacting the names of assistants of Epstein, who is pretty much telling them when certain kids are supposed to arrive, or pizza, or talking about pizza and grape soda with certain friends and all that? Why are you redacting these names? Why don't you unredact them so they can answer for themselves? Because these are the people that we want to know. Like, these are the people we want to know about. They don't got to be famous. They don't got to be Trump or Clinton. We just got to know that they're involved in this child trafficking ring that may be still going on.
I think, look, we could have brought contempt or impeachment weeks ago, but our interest is in actually getting the information out. And as a result of the strategy we've been pursuing, this is the largest release of the Epstein files in history. Now, it's not enough, but it has exposed people in the highest levels in technology, in finance, in real estate. It has exposed the establishment and monarchies in other countries. So our push is, how do we expose this and have accountability, not how do we score political points or have retribution.
Pam Bondi, what questions are you going to ask Pam Bondi?
Well, he's on the committee.
We'll see Wednesday.
You said a lot of the redactions were already made before the files were in the hands of clear entities. Who do you suspect made those redactions?
It seems that they were made by the FBI or they were made by attorneys in the grand jury, but they
guys, do me a favor and double tap that screen like the video, guys. Let's get us to 100 likes by double tapping that screen, and let's get more people on the conversation. Appreciate the support.
Justice Department, it seems, got some of these documents already redacted. Our law was very clear. Unless something was classified, it required it to be unredacted, and they have not complied with that law. And that law needs to be complied with, because that's where a lot of the information is, especially about the powerful people in this country and what their involvement was.
I mean, yeah, it was in the name. Epstein Transparency Act, aka we were expecting you guys to give us all the Epstein files unredacted. I mean, if anything, we thought you guys were, I don't know, going to fake a pandemic or carry United States off into war, but instead you released these. Well, before you guys released the Epstein files, but they did. The government did release the Epstein files, but except they didn't really provide too much transparency, especially with whole pages being redacted. We got, like I said, people who work with Epstein's names being redacted, especially in some pretty incriminating conversations. So, yeah, that's the main problem. The whole transparency part of it, I mean, they completely missed the mark on that.
You know, their involvement could have been that they were showing up at this island knowing that there was pedophilia taking place. Their involvement could have been that they were actually engaged in raping underage girls, or knowing that underage girls were being raped. We won't know until we see those files.
What information did you see that led you to believe that those 6 men were implicated in Epstein's crimes?
It's a list of 20. You can actually, I'll direct you to the unredacted or the redacted file. It's a list of 20 individuals. 3 or 4, Maxwell and Epstein are on the list, and maybe 1 or 2 other people, and everybody else is redacted, and their names are redacted, but it also includes 20 pictures, 20 photographs. And they're sort of mugshots. They're not the best pictures. I'm not sure if they were mugshots or not, but there are at least 3 or 4 males in the photographs. I couldn't verify by looking at their names because they have foreign names. I couldn't verify by looking at their names that they were male until I went and looked at the photographs. By the way, in the document I'm directing you to, the photographs are redacted and their names are redacted. There is no reason in our legislation that allows them to redact the names of those men, as far as I can tell.
Yeah,
unless
if it was about protecting victims, I mean, these guys aren't victims, they're co-conspirators. I mean, they're cooperators. So if it was about protecting victims, then what the hell are you doing protecting these guys? Because these guys ain't victims.
are there any male survivors, which seems
the ones victimizing,
hard to believe given this issue. But and all the women that are redacted, it's unclear if they were just actual survivors, in which case they did the appropriate thing, or whether they just, as Thomas said, had an algorithm to take out any woman's name.
There's also hold on a second. There's also an FBI form that lists people who are conspirators, and one of those is a male. It's like on an FBI form, they've redacted his picture and his name on that form, where they were, I guess, considering an indictment or indicting or something. I could also, I don't have the number in front of me, but I could direct you. It's a 3-page EFTA file.
The Justice Department has said it's letting you look.
Was this were
I'm not sure if they're mugshots.
Were authorities investigating these individuals, or like
in one instance it was, and in the other instance it seemed to be.
I've got to go. I'll let Thomas.
No, I got to go too.
All right.
One question. One last question for you, Congressman Khanna. Congressman Massie has called for Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick to face potentially some accountability for the connection that he has in these files. Do you support that call?
Absolutely. Look at what's happening in Britain.
Oh, crap.
You have a left government. Actually,
Yeah, people are calling for Howard Lutnick to resign, which is if you don't know who Howard Lutnick is one of Donald Trump's friends, personal friends, and our Secretary of Commerce right now. Yes, it's Howard Lutnick. So yeah, he said in an interview that, you know, in 2005 he went over to Epstein, he left, he said, oh, it was creepy, he didn't like the vibes. Him and his wife said they'll never go there again. Well, that turned out to be a lie. Because in the Epstein files, it proved in emails between him and Lutnick, well, it proved that Lutnick actually did meet up with Epstein. There was emailing about going and meeting up for dinner and all this wild stuff. So, yeah, I'm not, I mean, to be real with you, I'm not really too sure he should resign over that. But if he doesn't have a good explanation, then yeah, go ahead and resign, bro. You're cooked. Like, you just have to take that for what it is.
I know Keir Starmer. I was excited when he won, and yet I believe he needs to be held accountable with what's happened with Mendelssohn. You have the British monarchy having to answer questions. I mean, the King of England is putting out statements, and yet in our country, we have not had that reckoning. People in power, whether they're in government, whether they're in finance, whether they're in technology, if they have been implicated in the files in morally embarrassing ways and in ways that shock the conscience, should be held accountable, and it should be regardless of party.
So you're calling for Howard Lutnick to resign?
I believe that Lutnick, at the very least, needs to be brought before Congress. I think, based on the evidence, he should be out of the cabinet. But you know, I mean, it's people say, "Oh, you're just a Democrat saying that." No, I mean, look at what he is, how much influence he had with Epstein, and he wasn't transparent about it. But again, it's not about Lutnick, and it's not about any particular person. In this country, we have to make a decision. Are we going to allow rich and powerful people who were
I'll be real with you. These Epstein files make a lot of people in the administration look bad. Of course, Howard Lutnick. I mean, Kash Patel used to be Dan Bongino, but you know, he's back on the podcast. And the reason because Kash Patel and Dan Bongino were the ones telling us that, oh, he trafficked people to himself, nothing to see here. Now we're not sure if they're working with limited, and we're not really sure if they're working with limited information or if they was literally trying to run a cover up. And then when of course it comes to Lutnick, I mean, like I said, he just got caught up in a lie. It is what it is with that one. I mean, he can sit there and explain himself, but I mean, bro, you said you never met with him again, and here we are in emails looking at it, and you did. You were talking about it. I mean, it even made Elon Musk look bad. I mean, okay, I ain't gonna lie, it really made Peter Thiel look even worse, even crazier than he already looks in interviews. So the tech guys even got some explaining to do.
Friends and had no problem doing business and showing up with a pedophile who was raping underage girls. Are we just going to allow them to skate? Or like other countries, are we going to have elite accountability and have accountability for the people who did that? Most Americans believe we need accountability.
Can you confirm that President Trump wasn't on this list?
No, I didn't see him on that.
Oh, wow. He confirmed President Trump wasn't on that list. He's like, nah, I ain't seen him on that list. All right, Massie. All right, Massie keeping it real. I mean, like I said, like when it comes to Trump, bro, I mean, Trump did not work as deep as with Epstein as the Dems try to make you guys believe. Like, trust me. Like, there's people like Lex Wexner. That's the guy you need to focus on. That's a guy who worked really deep with Epstein, like hand in hand.